Right, are we live? Are we live? That's a good question. Are we live? Oh yeah, we are live by the looks of it. Okay, is everyone in lockdown? Well, hello everyone. Hello everyone. Got two viewers by the looks of it. Uh, j- just a really a quick video really. Just I wanted to try to see if this camera phone still works live, and it seems like it's doing. Okay. Hi Richard. Nice to see you join. And Radio Cruncher. Um, yeah, this is just really a quick live video, really, just to see how people are doing and see how everyone's bearing up in this COVID-19 clampdown that we're all having. Now, I know a lot of people who are in this area are actually locked down at the moment, and actually our workshop is one of the few that isn't, which is a bit unusual. So I just wanted to see what people thought about this. I don't want to go on too much about this COVID-19. I know most people are sick and tired of hearing about it, but yeah, I'm interested to see what people think about it. The company I work with, or work for, should I say, is a small company in Charlwood. As you know, most of them a company called Roban Electronics. And they've been, well, they've decided, the managers decided to keep the factory open whilst this so-called lockdown is in progress. And really, it's probably a fairly sensible thing because we've got very few members in the company. It looks like that it's not going to cause a problem. I work in a department that's got probably about two people in it at the most, and it's a square. It's got about 100 square meters of space. So the nearest person to me is sort of like 15, 20 meters away. So I'm pretty safe at work, I feel. But a lot of people sort of saying that they don't like being there and they're a bit concerned about it. Um, and it's just come at a bad time, really. We've had an awful winter. We've been stuck indoors with the rain and the flooding and stuff. This week's been fantastic, and the first decent week we get of any decent weather, and we're all bloody locked indoors. So I'm just interested to see what people think about it, and just give you a rundown of what's really happening. Uh, I've had a few little projects come in that I'm looking at the moment. One of them is a logic analyzer that I'm probably not going to proceed with. Uh, I've already got a logic analyzer. I'm not that bothered about repairing it because it's something that I'm never going to use. And I've got a rather nice audio level meter that I'm actually composing a video for at the moment, which I'll hopefully show you a bit later on once I've got it sort of the first part of the video sorted out. Um, I'm just trying to read your uh, yeah, Ian. I understand that a lot of people have got underlying health issues, and a lot of people don't want to be exposed to this virus. And we're all. I'm not exempt from it as well, even though I only look like 21. I am actually 52. I know. I know. I can hear the really. Simon's 52. But I have. I've always had problems with my lungs. I always get chest infection. Any cold I get, I'll get a chest infection, and I struggle to breathe. So there is a chance that if I do get this thing, it's going to affect me fairly badly. I like to think that I would survive it okay, but I'm more worried about passing it on to someone who isn't as well as I am. That's my mother-in-law, um, and particularly my parents. My father is in his late 80s. His health is pretty poor now. He's got various problems that I don't really want to go into, but he's got a long going heart problem that's not great. Um, so hi Man Cave, hi everyone, hi Radio Cruncher. Radio Cruncher's shutting himself. Yeah, I bet he's shutting himself in his little workshop to tinker around with his radios. But unfortunately, they've asked me to go into work, but I must admit I'm a bit envious of the people who are locking down because the weather's been so nice. I'd like to have been outside in the sun this afternoon. It was a fantastic day. So yeah, at the moment, most people at work are sort of okay with it, but there are a lot of people there saying we don't think we should be there, and it's very difficult, isn't it? Because if you sort of say I don't want to be here because I don't want to be exposed, you can't go home as sick, because you're not sick. But if you go home, there's a good chance the company won't pay you. So at the moment, I'm quite happy to stay in the factory and carry on working. I feel absolutely fine. I must admit, this is the best I've felt this year, just for a bit of sunlight. So being out in the sun at lunchtime has, lifted my spirits. I must admit, I do suffer from depression, though you might not see it. I do get very down sometimes, and this decent weather has really bucked my sort of morale up, and I feel a lot happier. And I think I'm hoping a lot more people do as well. So that's really what it is. Just interesting to see what people are doing, and a lot of people I know suffer from sort of like the winter blues. But this year has been particularly bad. I mean, I remember last year. I seem to remember sort of like the summer went on for so long, and then the winter ended really quickly. It only seemed like a couple of months before the spring was around, and it seemed good. It was like I remember last year thinking, "Oh, if this is the future of the British winter, I'm all up for it because it's a short period of cloud and rain, and then we're back to the spring, and all the buds are coming up, and the sun comes out, and the nights draw out, and it's just so much of an uplift. But this year has been really a real drag. It really has. It's been cold. It's been damp. Uh, it's those grey, depressing mornings where you drive to work and it's like dark in the morning and it's dark in the evening. It really, it really gets me down, I must admit. But the last couple of days have been fantastic. So, and of course, and as I said before, it's typical, as you all know, that I've just bought this other bike. And I'm thinking, yep, the forecast for next week is great. I'll be able to ride the bike into work. I'll be able to go out in the evening and ride it around. And as soon as that happens, Boris Johnson decides he's going to put a lockdown on the country, which, quite honestly, I think is probably absolutely right. Uh, the amount of infections and the amount of people getting this disease are alarming. Actually, the rate of climb is almost exponential. So I'm just hoping that this thing plateaus out in the next couple of weeks. And they say also that the ultraviolet light from the sunlight actually will kill the virus fairly quickly. So the way I see it, the more you are outside, the better you are, better off you are really. And last Sunday, it's funny how everyone thinks the same thing, but I thought, oh, okay, I'll go for a ride on the bike. I mean, you're self-isolating on a motorbike, basically. You put your crash helmet on, you drive to the petrol station, you pay with your Android phone at the petrol pump. I thought, well, I'll go off for a ride to Berry Hill. I don't know if anyone knows Berry Hill. It's on the South Downs, just north of us, Bognor Regis, I suppose, A29. I thought I'll go out there, I'll pop into the little car park, and with a bit of luck, the cafe will be open, and it'll be nice and quiet. I'll go there and get a cup of coffee, and maybe have a burger, and then I'll ride back, enjoying the ride on the Hayabusa. The bike's running lovely now. And I sort of ride up there, and there's not a lot on the roads, and I'm thinking, yeah, it's lovely. This is, you can sort of like get a bit of speed on the roads, and there's no one around. You're not putting anyone at risk. And you ride up to the A29, and you turn into the car park, and then you realise that the whole of Surrey and Sussex on a motorbike are there. I've never seen so many people out there in the car park, and I've been going there 20, 25 years, and the car park was crammed. And I parked up for 5 minutes. I thought, well, I might be able to grab a cup of coffee quickly, but the coffee, the cafe there was like, I would have to be in there 15, 20 minutes. You know what, them jerking out burgers aren't exactly that aren't very quick. So I thought, this is ridiculous. I'm sort of, you can't get away from people. So I jumped back on the bike, and and I rode home again. And it seems to be wherever you go now, everyone thinks that, oh, we're stuck indoors, we'll go outside and get some fresh air. And of course, everyone drives to the nearest car park, and then that's it. You know, it's you're stuck in this car park full of people, uh, and you can't move for cars, bikes, and other people. And that's exactly what they told you not to do. So I drove home again, or rode home again on the bike, which is fine because the roads are still fairly clear. Got home and it was a nice ride. It was a lovely weekend, but it's just so frustrating with this clampdown that you just take it for granted. You know that you got this country have never been in this situation before. You just go out, you do what you want, you come back, you come in when you want. God knows what it's like to be in a war-stricken area where you're constantly under fire and you're not allowed out and there's curfews and all that thing. And we've just had it so easy in this country. We really have. And this is I mean, even people who've lived through the war say that this is nothing like the war. You know, at least you could go to work, you could go to school, you could go and get food. You might not be able to get a lot of food, but you could be able to go shopping and things like that. But now we're just totally bolted down. We're just bolted down. And how long is it going to be for? You know, is it going to be weeks? Is it going to be months? I'm just hoping that by the time that sort of the spring comes, we're well the end of the spring, the summer. We're in spring now. The summer, everything will be back to normal, and this infection would have got under control. This infection, this disease, whatever they call it, COVID-19, coronavirus, fantavirus, whatever it is, get it under control, and hopefully there aren't going to be too many deaths. But what does worry me is that you know it's gonna become quite nasty, and so what do you do? What do you do if I'm locked down for eight? What's it? 12 weeks? What do they say? 8 weeks? I can't spend 8 weeks in this workshop. I can't spend 8 weeks indoors. I'll go bloody mad. Are you allowed out on a motorbike? And that's the trouble is the instructions aren't that clear. They haven't said. They said you're allowed to go to work if it's absolutely necessary. Well, to me, it's absolutely necessary because if they don't pay me, I can't afford to pay my rent. I can't afford to pay my bills. I can't afford to pay off this bloody motorbike I've just bought. You know. So I think everyone's in the same boat. It's very difficult unless you've got a lot of savings or a lot of cash behind you, which I haven't. It's going to be very hard for a lot of people, and it's going to be a lot harder for other people than it is for me. Don't get me wrong. I'm not, I'm not milking it. I've got it relatively easy, but I know people at work who are saying, if I can't pay my rent, I'm going to get chucked out. So it's I suppose the next question, the next thing will be saying, well, why don't you sell some of your test gear? Well, it's not that desperate yet, is it? But yeah, it is. It is pretty. It's a pretty nasty situation we're in at the moment, and I'm just hoping it's it's going to sort itself out. And that, yeah, a lot of people say, yeah, I can see what you're saying. Yeah, lots of roads are open, lots of clear roads. So if you're into bikes and cars and you want to sort of go for a blast on your bike and the car, this is the time to do it because I've never seen the road so clear. It's been taking me in the last 3 or 4 years 25 to 30 minutes to get home most days. It took me 15 minutes this evening because there's nothing on the roads. Don't worry, Graham, I'm not going to sell anything. You know me, I don't sell anything. I've got 4 bikes in the garage, great, and I can't use any of them at the moment, really. It's very difficult to know what to do. Uh, Hi Dave, hi everyone. Sorry if anyone said hello or dropped messages. I'm sort of been rambling on a bit, and it's not actually that clear on the phone. I'm just trying to read some of your instructions. Hi Darren, it's nice to see you. About time we had some more videos of you, Darren. Actually, we haven't seen any for a while. Hi John, Theo, Man Cave. Nice for you all to join. Yeah, it's just a bit of an impromptu video, really. I just wanted to sort of like let you know I wasn't lying on a ventilator somewhere. And that's the other thing. I don't know if any of you work in the industry or so, but lot of companies are making ventilators now. So Graham, I think you must have enough stuff in your little workshop to make a ventilator. I'm sure we can try it out on someone. I'm sure someone, Cody's, I'm sure he'd be quite happy to try it out, see if it works on Cody's. He seems to be game for love. Or maybe George. Maybe George would be quite happy to see if your ventilator works. Be quite interesting, wouldn't it? Live video. Does this ventilator work or not? But yeah, we might be building ventilators in the next couple of months if there is going to be a shortage. But yeah, I suppose we shouldn't really make. Are we still there? Okay. I think I'm back again. Sorry about that. I think that my mobile phone is dying as well. That's another thing that I need to replace. Um, every now and then this phone just freezes. I've tried everything, removing apps and things like that. But no, it looks like I'm back again. If it fails again, I'm not going to bother trying to restart it. This phone keeps crashing every sort of like 20 minutes or so. But yeah, that's it. Basically really what I've come on to say. See what people think. Hi Radio Shop and hi Gary. But yeah, it's just a quick video really, just to sort of like fill in some time really. Um, so if you've got any questions, as long as they're not too personal, obviously ask away. And I hope to try and answer some of your questions. If anyone's got any questions, failing that, if no one else has got any more questions, I'll basically end the video. But ask any questions you want now, and forever hold your peace. Drink some red wine. Cheers, everyone. How's my new bike? Don, unfortunately, the new bike is. I owned a Honda Blackbird before I bought this Suzuki. And the Honda Blackbird was the original bike that sort of made the 170 mile an hour speed record sort of thing back in the late 90s. And the Hayabusa came out in 1999 to take the crown from the Honda Blackbird. Now, most people who know Japanese motorcycles know that the Hondas are usually better built than Suzukis. And I've always imagined that I've had the Honda for 20 years. So when I bought this Suzuki off the friend who passed away recently, I I was quite surprised at how nice the bike is to ride. It's a lovely bike to ride. It's very smooth. It's very powerful. In a lot of ways, it's more comfortable than the Honda. It's not quite as refined, and it isn't quite as well built, I think. But apart from that, it's probably a pretty good bike. Uh, Compared the Honda, there's nothing in it really. There is difference in performance. I'm just trying to read some of your other. Hold a minute. Are you working or has the company sent you home? Okay. Okay, Theo. No, I'm still working. And I'll be working until they do send me home. They seem to be quite happy that we're working in fairly. I work with very few people. I've basically got a large workshop, about 10 times the size of this workshop shop to myself. I've got my boss in there, and he sort of works on the other side of the room, so I'm perfectly safe. Uh, why don't you do more videos? Well, John, basically, a lot of people don't come on my channel to watch motorbike videos, and that's fair enough. I can understand that. Uh, most people don't. Most people have joined my channel to look at radio repairs and me tinkering around in my workshop. Uh, so I don't want to start making this into a motorbike channel. And it's very limited what you can do on a motorbike channel anyway, apart from reviewing bikes. But I've got 4 motorbikes, as you probably know, and I've got a Honda Blackbird, which most people know, the Suzuki Hayabusa, which is the video I did a couple of videos ago. I've got a Aprilia 750 Dorsa Duro, which I bought brand new about 9 years ago, and Hycodes, and I've also got an old aging Kawasaki KDX 200 two-stroke trial bike, which is actually in the garage just there. It's the it's if you can see through that wall, the bike's sitting in the garage there. Well, I hope it is. It was the last time I looked. But What kind of work do I do? Okay, I work for a company called Roband Electronics. They're based in Charlwood, and they've been running since 1956. And they are basically a power supply company. That's all they do. They started off in the 50s, and they got a large contract for building power supplies for the Nimrod aircraft. And after that, they got into other sort of military stuff. Uh, but mainly we are a power supply company. We do power supplies for missiles. I do a lot of work on the power supply for the head-up display for the Eurofighter or Typhoon, whatever you want to call it. I also do the head-up power supply for the C-17 aircraft, um, but also GPWS, ground proximity warning system power supplies. Anything, anything power supply really, but mainly military and avionics. We do some commercial power supplies. I don't know. Some people might have heard of the Roban Varex or Vrico. If you worked in workshops from the sort of like 60s, 70s, we've sold quite a lot of those power supplies. I've actually got a couple here you've probably seen. But we are basically a power supply company, and that's what we've done all the time. We've always done this. Um, so yeah, I've been there 25 years now, and obviously quite happy with it because I'm still there. So what's this? Used to work on the Bloodhound, but apparently you're still not allowed to talk about it. Oh, okay. Well, don't mention it, Chris, and I won't mention that you worked on the Bloodhound. That's yeah. We won't let anyone know about that. Okay, that's good. Um, so yeah, that's basically what I do. Cars. Someone asked me if I'm interested in cars. I was, what was it? 20, yeah, it must have been 20, 22, 23 years ago. I I remember I was driving through an industrial state, and it's an industrial estate in Crawley, Three Bridges. I don't know if anyone knows there. And I drove past, and there was this old Audi. I don't know if anyone remembers the Mark One Audi 80. It was an Audi 80 Sport, the side of the road, and it'd been there for years. And I thought, well, that looks a really nice car. I thought that would make a nice project. So I left a note on the windscreen saying, "Is anyone interested? If you're interested in selling this car, please call this number." And it was before mobile phones; it was a land number. And I didn't hear anything for a couple of weeks. And this chap rang me up and said, "If you're interested in the car, I think it was 450 quid for it." I said, "Well, I'll offer you 300." And he said, "No, I want more than that. It owes me this much money." So we negotiated something. I think it was like something like £400. And I bought this Audi 80 and towed it back to my girlfriend's house at the time. Um, uh, Connected the battery up to it, turned it over, and it just went clonk. So he sort of looked at the engine, and clearly there was a hole inside the crankcase where it had thrown a rod, and that's obviously the reason why the car had been sitting on the side of the road. No one wanted to do anything with it. So I got another engine for it, and I don't know if you know the what they used to call the North South engines, and the Golf GTI engine is basically the exact same engine. One's a DZ engine, and one's a DX. That's the engine codes. The only difference between the two is the flywheel's different. So I bought an 1800 GTI engine, uh, and basically got that sent off to be rebored, lightened and balanced, and a modified head, and with a different camshaft, and put some electronic ignition on it, fuel injection on it, and things like that. Electronic fuel injection, and managed to get quite a lot of power out of it actually. But not a huge amount in today's standard, but it's naturally aspirated 1.8, which standard made 115 horsepower and 115 foot-pounds of torque. I think that's what the GTI made, the 1800 8-valve engine. And I got up to 140 and 140 foot-pounds of torque. Um, and it was good. I won a couple of awards for sprint racing in it. So I was very interested in cars earlier on, and then I waned from that a bit and started to get more into motorbikes. Because I passed my bike test back in 1980. Oh, I passed my test in '88, I think it was. And then I had a sort of, once I passed my car test in '91, I didn't ride a bike for 7 or 8 years. And then a chap at work, funny enough, the chap who had the higher booster said, "Oh, you'll never get another motorbike. Once you've got a car, you'll stay with the car." So I went out and bought a Yamaha Phaser brand new back in '99, and they got me hooked again, and I've basically had bikes ever since. So it's yeah, bikes are a toy for me, really. I don't use them for everyday transport. And as you get older, you don't realise that if you get out in the freezing cold, when you get off, all your joints ache, and if you're going to come off, you're going to suffer, going to suffer probably broken bones. Whereas back when you're in the 20s, you just bounce down the road, get back on it, and ride off again. You can't do that when you're getting older. So yeah, that's what I to use I've got an old Astra now that I use for driving back and forth to work. It's quite economical, and that's what I use for my normal transport. So no cars. They are quite interested in cars, but I there's nothing out there that I particularly want. I'm not a sort of person who sort of says, "Oh wow, what's that car?" as it goes past. I'm not really. I don't really take a lot of interest in cars anymore. I used to, as I say, but not anymore. I'm just reading some of your messages. Have I done any track days? Yes. Yeah, I have actually. And that was actually in the Audi 80. Is it North Weald? No, where's the plate? It's the track near Bath. Castle Donington. No, not Is it Castle Donington? No, it's not Castle Donington. There's a little track. I suppose probably 20 miles east of Bath. Come on, some of you will know which track that is. I took my Audi 80 around that, and a couple of friends followed me up there to sort of take photographs, and I was thrashing this poor old Audi round the track, and I'd done about 7 or 8 laps. I was desperate to try and catch up with this Euro Quattro, which wasn't doing very well, and I was just about to catch up, and suddenly lost Castle Combe. Yeah, it was Castle Combe. Absolutely, it was Castle Combe. Suddenly lost all my power, limped into the side of the road, and the bloody thing had blown a head gasket. And I'm thinking, shit, I've got no breakdown cover. How am I going to get home? And my landlord, who is actually still my landlord, who had a Subaru, said, "Oh, don't worry, I'll tow you home." I said, "You're going to tow me home? It's 120 miles." He said, "No, that's fine. I'll tow you home." And he towed me 120 miles in my Audi all the way home back to Crawley Down. So I have done a track day in the car, and it ended up a bit of a disaster. It was great fun once the time the car was running. Uh, I wasn't very good at it. I didn't really know about lines and things like that. I should have researched that before I went on the track day, but my lines were wrong around the corners. I was coming out of corners and then driving into sort of like the corner of the track because I was on the wrong line, not coming out of the bends and things like that. But it was good fun, and I have done it actually on a couple of bikes. I've done the Castle no, Donington. It was the Donington with Ron Haslam course on CBR 600s, and the first one I did was probably 15 years ago, and that was great fun. I really enjoyed that. I mean, that was really quite impressive. And the second time it did, which is quite funny, Ron Haslam was there. I don't know if anyone's ever met Ron Haslam, but he's a real character, and he was on a I was on the CBR 600. Well, a lot of us were on the CBR 600, and he was on a Hornet 900. It wasn't a Fireblade; it was a Hornet. People don't know what the Hornet is. It's basically an upright 900cc inline four, basically a Fireblade in a sort of like a more traditional riding style bike, and he was taking people on the back of it to demonstrate, how quick you can go around this track. And I was steaming along on this CBR 600, and I thought, no one's going to catch me. I thought I was bloody going for it. I was really impressed with myself, and I was steaming down the straight, and I came up to this corner. I sort of like my knee was dragging along the road. I was I thought I was Carl Fogarty, and then suddenly I thought, what's that bloody noise? And I looked on the right of me, and there's Ron Haslam with this girl tottering on the back of his bike on this not sports bike. I was on the sports bike going around the inside of me and just pissed off and left me behind. And that's when you realise the difference between a good rider and me. It was that was a real eye opener. That was a really good day actually. but it suddenly knocks me down a peg or 10 to realise how I thought I was going fast and I wasn't. In comparison with someone who could ride a bike properly, you realise how remedial you are when it comes to riding. So yeah, I've always been a bit of a petrol head. You've seen my videos on old engines and things like that. I love them. I love engines. I love to get things fixed. I love to repair things. As you've seen in my workshop, I get a big kick out of repairing stuff. That gives me a big buzz. And that's the thing that sort of like keeps me going in these long sort of wintry months. Go out and fiddle about the little Kawasaki that needs a lot of work doing on it. And I've got to do something with that. It needs new tyres. I think it's going to need a rebore. It's a two-stroke. It's basically one of those things that constantly needs repairing. I've got that old stationary engine. I've never been to the Isle of Man. I have been to the Isle of Man, but never when the rating's on. I'm not a competitive person. I don't enjoy motorsport. I used to quite like watching the rally car racing, the saloon car racing. I quite like that. Formula One leaves me stone cold. I hate football. Um, you can have my autograph. Do you want my autograph? Yeah, of course you can have my autograph. God bloody hell. No one's ever asked me for my autograph before. I hope you're being sarcastic, by the way. Um, but not interested in sports. Never have been. Norton and Triumph. Triumph, yeah. Bit patriotic. I'd like to have a British bike. I have actually owned a British bike, believe it or not. A company called CCM, Clues Competition Motorcycles. They were quite big back in the 60s and 70s. I can't think his name, Mr. Clues. But I think it was Colin Clues, was it? He was into getting, I think it was BSA engines and making his own frames and using them for competition. He did quite well. But he's been building these motorbikes and using the Suzuki DR650 engine and putting them in these frames. And I bought one of these bikes. Bought it at the Alexandra Palace show. Actually, I went to have a look at them and I fell in love with this bike and bought it. And initially, it was a pain in the arse. There was lots of teething problems with it. There was lots of things like the brake line. The brake line came off the front of the bike and scored all the brakes up and scored all the discs up where they just rubbed against. Lucky I didn't get total brake failure. Electrics were messing around. But have a look. It's a CCM R30 with the Suzuki engine in it, not the Rotax engine in it. And that was a bloody brilliant bike. Once I got all the problems sorted out, it handled well. It went like stink for a six. Yeah, it's not the same as a Husqvarna. It's the CCM engine was much softer tuned than the Husqvarna. Husqvarna's KTM's are much highly higher tuned engines. It had lots of torque, but it's still one of these short stroke engines, so it made all its power top end. Uh, that was a brilliant bike. That's one of the bikes I really regret selling. Actually, I sold that and bought the Aprilia, which was probably a mistake. Um, so we all make mistakes. We bought vehicles that we regret selling, and that's probably one of them. The good thing about that bike was actually a year later I went up to this bike meet on the A29, and I was walking around with a mate of mine. I said, "Oh, look, Matt." I said, "Look, there's a CCM exactly the same as mine." And I went around the back. I said, "That is my bloody CCM," and it was mint. It was in absolutely perfect condition. I found the owner and had a chat to him, and that was nice. It's always nice to see because I always look after my vehicles, apart from my cars. I'm not too worried about them, but I always look after my bikes. My bikes are always kept clean and sort of maintained properly, whereas my cars are just used as transport. And he'd done a beautiful job. It was all polished and gleaming. He loved it, so that was good. It's always nice to know that if you sell a vehicle that you love to someone, it's not just going to be trashed. And he'd looked after it and done it up really nicely, so it was good. It was nice. Um, yeah, so bikes, cars. I went through a stage of collecting binoculars and repairing binoculars, as you probably know. Radios, barometers. Oh God, basically anything that I can repair, anything I can get into and repair and feel like I've done a good job. I'm happy with, that basically. So, any more questions? ramble you and bore you all to death? Any more questions or anything you need to ask? If not, I think we'll call this video at the end. And photography. That's another one of my obsessions, I suppose. Um, Thanks, Chris. I appreciate that. Photography. Yeah, I picked up photography from a friend of mine who I've known since he was about, I suppose, 7 or 8. I knew him at infant school. We were still in close owls. Yeah, owls. Oh god. I go through the trouble with me. I get obsessed with things. I get something in my mind and I get obsessed. Uh, Owl taking pictures of owls, but photography is one of the other things. Yeah, got lots of camera gear, lots of different lenses. Fads, well, I don't know. I think they're more obsessions actually with me. I do tend to get obsessed with things. But I love buying. I went through a stage a couple of years ago of buying old Nikon lenses because you can buy these old manual AI lenses for next to nothing. Mount them on your camera. Obviously, it's all manual focus, and get some really quite interesting photographs with these old lenses. Now, I'm a Canon man. Uh, I know you're a Nikon, Graham, but I sort of chose it must be 10 years ago when the digital SLRs first came out. It was a choice between I think it was the D70, I think was the first Nikon, or the D20 Canon. And at the time, the Canon was slightly above the Nikon, so I bought a Canon uh, 20D, and then since then I've owned what have I owned? A 40 and a 50D, which I both bought second hand. I bought a 60D about 5 years ago on eBay, and that's the camera that I've used the most actually. I bought it for quite a good price. I bought a 70D when it came out, which was, what was that? That was probably 5 years ago, probably 6 years ago. Lose track of time. Uh, but basically, I've never gone full frame. I've never been interested in full frame because most of my photography is sort of like uh, aircraft photography, wildlife photography, where you want the crop sensor to get the magnification. So it's quite interesting to use these long lenses on these cameras because you get a 1.6 multiplication factor on it. So I bought a hundred. What is it? Is it a 200 to 600? Can't remember what bloody lens it is now. Tamron lens. What was this? No, it's a Sigma. Last year, um, there's two models, the contemporary and the sport, and I bought the sport version. The only drawback is it is very, very heavy, but the image quality I get out of it is exceptional. Yeah, and yeah, Chris, thank you. Thanks for reminding me. Radioactive lenses, yeah, the Takimars or Sopa Takamar lenses. Most of those are radioactive. Um, they're not dangerously radioactive. You just don't carry them in your pocket, because you'll sterilize yourself. Not that it bothers me that much. Cheaper than condoms, I suppose. But yeah, radioactive lenses from the Takumala range. But it's mainly, I don't think there are many lenses out there that are radioactive. Some are, some aren't. And you can usually tell the radioactive lenses because they go very yellow after a time. The only way you can get rid of that yellow is to expose them to ultraviolet light. So you tend to leave them on the windowsill, and they sort of like they'll fade with time. That yellow will fade. Um, but it's quite interesting using these old manual lenses. Obviously you haven't got the split prism thing that you used to get on the old manual lenses, so you can't get the focus particularly accurate unless you're using the live view on the Canon lens, where you can press the live view and you get the view through the lens itself rather than through the sort of like the reflex side. Um, but I love photography, and that will be always. I don't suppose that is an obsession really. I mean, I go through obsessions of buying lenses, but I will always be interested in photography. But like I'll always be interested in electronics. But I do go through stages of my binocular collection is ridiculous. I'm not even going to go into that amount of binoculars I bought and stripped and cleaned up. Hi Scott, nice for you to join us. I don't know what it's like over there, but it's we're all in lockdown here, so sad old Simon sitting here talking to you lot, trying to trying to think. I need someone to talk to. No one wants to talk to me. I'm in lockdown. So yeah, that's it really. Um, I'm sitting in my workshop here. What's the temperature at? 3.2 degrees outside, so it's fairly cool. But it's been, as I say, it's been a nice bright day, and I need to get out and use my camera lenses and take some photographs. I was hope might go to an. They cancelled the air show, Farnborough Air Show. The last Farnborough Air Show I went to was an absolute disaster. The worst air show I've ever been to, and it's such a shame. Um, Uranium glass? Oh, what is it? It might be. I can't remember what glass it is. It's got some radioactive element in it that's supposed to be better for light refraction. And that was the Canon. No, it was the Pentax 1.4 Super Tachymar. There's the Tachymar, excuse me, and the Super Tachymar. There's a 1.7 and a 1.4, and that was the 1.4. At 1.4, it's very soft. If you stop it down to 1.7, it's acceptable. Um, but I've got other lenses as well. I've got a lot of Nikon lenses, 50mm. I've got some of the Olympus OM lenses are very good. There's lots of stuff out there. Rolly, I've got a Rolly lens, 50mm. That's pretty good. Um, but that's the trouble with it. You sort of think, oh, that's a nice lens, a Rolly lens. I wonder what this lens is like. You go and buy that. I've even got a Vivitar lens. I mean, most people think Vivitar lenses are pretty good, but they were a budget lens. But there are a couple out there that actually are very good. I don't know if anyone's ever used a. Has anyone ever used a mirror lens? They're quite interesting. Um, if you get a good one, you'll get reasonable results out of it. Mirror lens is basically a Schmidt Cassegrain, and there's another type of design. And they usually give a very strange out of focus effect. So if you're focusing, say, if you're focusing on a light source, like a distant light in the distance, and you defocus that, it gives a donut ring effect. Some people like that. Some people find it really off-putting. Uh, they're fixed aperture, so you're stuck with your usually an f8, something like that. So you can't control the aperture. There's obviously they never donuts donuts. Yeah, bokeh, yeah, bokeh to you as well. Yeah, bokeh. Where the hell's that come from? Out of focus bits. Yeah, bokeh is what they all the modern term for out of focus. The out of focus effect, the quality of your out of focus image. Yeah, I know it sounds ridiculous. You think out of focus is out of focus, but no, you get different qualities of out of focus, and you do actually. If you some out of focuses can look really quite sort of blurry and sharp and a bit rough on the eye, but yeah, they're quite interesting lenses. I'm quite interested in those. You can pick them up very cheaply. They're quite good for pictures of the things like the moon. They're extremely sensitive to focus. You have to be so touchy with the focus. But you'll get a very high magnification telephoto lens for next to nothing. I've got a Sigma. I've got a Tamron SP600, which is actually very good. That's very good. The Sigma's good as well. And I've got another lens. I think that's a Tokina, which isn't so clever. And you can buy some real cheap Chinese lens. I bought an 800mm f8, and it's like looking through a Guinness bottle. I mean, the best thing for that is a doorstop. It's crap. It really is awful. But there are some usable lenses like that. But I wouldn't recommend them for anything other than astrophotography or something that doesn't move. You'll never track a bird or anything with them because they're so bulky. So yeah, fisheye lenses. Yeah, got a couple of fisheye lenses. I've got a Zenit lens, which is a copy of a. Oh, I think it's a copy of a Carl Zeiss lens, and that's a 17mm f2.8. And I actually like those lenses. They're fairly cheap. You can buy one for about 120 quid or so over here. F2.8. They're a bit soft. Stop them down to f4, and I've got some really quite nice pictures out of those. So, you know, most people obviously it's a manual focus lens. So 18 to 55. Yeah, I've got an 18 to 55 Canon, 18 to 135. I've got a 17 to 55, which is the f2.8 Canon EFS lens. The EFS lens is designed only for the crop sensor. and that was quite an expensive lens actually when I bought it. It's f2.8 all the way through, but that's a lens I can put on the camera and know that whatever I do, whatever settings I have, I'll get a sharp image, and that's always quite nice. Oh no, I've never done my own film developing. Um, it's something that I never really got into. I never had the room to do really. Uh, how long have you worked at your current job? Unfortunately, I've worked at my current job now for 25 years. So yeah, I've been there for nearly half my life, and it doesn't seem that bad actually. So obviously it's not a bad job, but yeah, I've worked there 25 years. Um, but maybe that's the next thing I should do is show you all my camera lenses. Though the trouble is, as I say, most people are all they've subscribed to my channel for is to see me tinker around with electronic stuff. Talking of which, the my lovely Roden Schwartz signal generator, which is one of the first bits of kit I bought, and I love this thing. I've spent hours recapping it after all the tantalums went up in little firecrackers. Um, the power amplifier section, which is an optional extra for this, I can't really move this camera because it's on my phone, it's not easy to see, but there's an option here on the right hand side for a power amplifier, which is a 1 watt power amplifier, is messing around, so I need to get the power amplifier section out of this again and strip it down and work out what's wrong with that. It works, but it's got a lot of distortion on it, and the automatic level control doesn't seem to be working. So at some point, I need to get that fixed and working again. Oh, hi Keith, and I haven't seen you for a while. Hope you're all okay over in the States there. Um, but it looks like it looks like the States are getting it quite bad now. I think good old Trump has blown it, blown the whole situation down. Oh, don't worry about it. It's only an infection. Will be gone in a couple of weeks. No, I'm afraid it won't be. Bit scary actually to see some of the comments that Trump posts on his Twitter account. It scares me. Scares me that this chap's controlling one of the probably the most powerful countries on the globe. To be honest with you, but yeah, we're in quarantine here. It's uh, I mean, I'm driving to work and back, and at the moment, I haven't seen no signs of any police activity or anyone being stopped and being questioned on what they're doing. I think all the time. But I must admit, usually, I mean, I'm in East Grinstead. I'm just outside of East Grinstead, and I can usually hear, the boy races racing around in their cars, and it's totally silent out there. It really is. And where I work, I'm right next to Gatwick Airport, and you go outside and sit outside. Normally, you've got the noise of an aircraft running or a plane coming in or taking off, and you sort of get used to it. After 25 years of working there, you get used to it. But you sit out there and it's totally silent, and it's eerie. It seems really eerie. You look up in the sky, no contrails, so it's good. Well, at the moment I think we're managing it. I'm hoping they don't sort of do more draconian sort of measures and stuff. Say right, no one's leaving their houses. You stay indoors. You've got to be in bed by 6 o'clock and not allowed to talk to your neighbours or anything like that. But at the moment, they're managing it very well, I think. And I must admit, I'm very impressed with Boris Johnson. I thought when he became prime minister, I thought this bloke's a bloody buffoon. But I think he's handled this very well. I think we might have underreacted slightly initially to the situation, but at the moment I think he's done very well. I think he's handled it very well, very professionally, and it's sort of given me quite a good feeling to think that I feel like they sort of know what they're doing. I'm not so sure that previous PMs would have handled it quite as well, or I would have had the same confidence. Where do I think the virus originated from? Well, China, maybe. Don't know. Trump calls it the Chinese virus. Could be right. I mean, he's seldom wrong, is he? Trump always knows what he's talking about. No, it sounds like it did come from China, didn't it? Came from that slaughterhouse where they slaughtered chickens live and saw all the blood running down the streets. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows where it came from? I don't suppose you'll ever know, will you? It's very difficult to know. Supermarkets here, Scott. I mean, supermarkets here have been a bloody joke. Um, as soon as people sort of go into panic mode, they buy bog rolls. What are they? Are they crapping themselves or something? I mean, No loo rolls, no meat, apart from phallic looking um, joints of meat that were in Lidl, which was quite funny. Looked just like a horse penis. I don't know what the hell it was. It probably was a horse penis, but funny enough, it was left on the shelves. Um, no vegetables. Why did the whole Sainsbury's up the road? The Sainsbury's is just up the road from here. No vegetables in the shelves at all. Not a single vegetable. Now you can't stockpile vegetables. They go stale within. They rot within a couple of days. But why no? Why no vegetables? No baked beans. I mean, did they buy? Did they buy baked beans and then thought, oh, we bought baked beans, we buy a bog roll? I don't understand people's way of thinking. But you still get people up there now, go in there and sort of buying sort of tons and tons of loo rolls and things. Why? It's just mad panic. It's ridiculous. Red wine, yeah, bloody cheek. Because all the pubs are closed, they've emptied all the red wine out. I want my last bottle of red wine. So that's pretty diabolical, to be honest with you. So yeah, panic buying for alcohol because I never go out anywhere. Obviously my girlfriend buys all the alcohol when she goes shopping, but it's scary. The people who are doing this, yeah, this fighting over all this food, are the people who are without being, they're cretins, aren't they? Why would you go up? Why do you go up to the supermarket and buy 50 bog rolls? I mean, trolleys full of bog rolls. It's absolutely ridiculous. Bread, yeah, bread, milk. Uh, I don't know. I don't understand it. I'm glad to say I don't understand it. And though saying that, I went up with Mandy, my partner, my girlfriend, on Friday to the supermarket to get some dinner, and we were walking around there. She said, "Oh, let's go and see if there's any loo rolls on the shelf." And I said, "All right, yeah, it'll be interesting to see." We went around, and there were loo rolls on the shelf. And she said, "Oh yeah, there's loo rolls on the shelf." I said, "Oh, we better buy some, hadn't we?" She said, "Well, why do we need loo rolls?" I said, "Well, how many we got?" She said, "Well, we've got about another 2 packs." I said, "Well, we might run out." And it's that mentality. It's like because everyone's panic buying. When you see them in the shelves, you think, "Shit, I better get some because we need them. We need these loo rolls." And it's like a sort of like a lemming, sort of like jumping off the edge of a cliff. They doing it, so I need to do it. And I sort of thought, don't be stupid. What do you want those for? Usually go into the supermarket and think, I must buy some loo rolls. I usually go to the supermarket and say, I must get some alcohol. Your priorities right, don't you? Anyway, so I don't know what's going on there. I think it's all calmed down a bit now. The supermarkets seem to be a bit better stocked, but they're still a bit low on alcohol, which is a bit worrying. So, yeah, that's it really. I think I'm going to draw this video to a close. Just reading some of your comments. Japanese toilet seats don't need paper. Oh God, I don't. Was it got a built-in sponge or something? Oh, I suppose the thing is bidets, aren't they? They're probably the most hygienic things. But then again, we're used to what we do, aren't we? And it's funny, isn't it? So there's other ways of dealing with it. I mean, one of the tabloids is probably one of the best things to wipe your ass on. That's what I would like to do. Well, I'm just reading the last of your videos, and I'm going to close down, I think. Thanks, Keith, and thanks everyone for joining me. Hi, Michael. Both Michaels, 2 Michaels. A blow dry. Yeah. A long time since I've had a blow dry down there. Anyway, I hope it's of some light relief. God, I've been on here nearly an hour. It's amazing you can talk for rubbish for an hour, isn't it? Should work for Parliament, really, shouldn't I? Anyway, just thanks everyone for watching. I hope you. I don't know if you. Yeah, I'm sure you haven't learned anything, but it was interesting to read some of your comments. Got my chin up. Thanks, and I think we're going to come out of it in the next couple of weeks. Just and hope we get some decent weather. Thanks, Theo. It's nice to thanks everyone for your comments. It's been nice. I'm nice to see that I've got 38 people online for an impromptu video. I really appreciate that. It makes me feel like I'm appreciated. Darren, get some videos up. We need some more of your cassette players. Anything. I don't care. Your car. Make a video. Give me something to watch. And you as well, Keith. We haven't seen haven't seen a video from you for a while. It's about time you got your Tektronix scope out and see if it still worked. Take care, everyone. Be safe. And we'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.